Hey all, it's Steve here with a brand new video all about offline marketing, okay? And in particular about closing and persuading people with your pitch. In other words, all the stuff that gets the cash, okay? The stuff that makes you money. This is Offline Mind Control, and it's the product I thought I'd probably never release. So as you've already guessed, this is kind of a pitch video. But regardless of what you actually want to do at the end, I'm going to say please watch, because there's a lot of valuable content that I'll be giving away that can help you in your offline marketing business, or the business maybe that you're intending to start. Anyway, let's move on with the video. So first things first, as you might have realized, it kind of feels like about 90% of offline businesses are no good at marketing themselves. Now, I don't think that this is a bad thing, okay, because most businesses, be they on Main Street, High Street, whatever, are kind of concerned with doing their job. So maybe it's a delicatessen, it's a fine food store, and they're focused on getting the best ingredients in. Maybe it's a restaurant and they're concerned with, getting covers, as they're called. In other words, getting people to sit down at tables. And the more covers they get, the more money they make, and they really need to get the word out. Or maybe it's some sort of beauty or nail bar or something like that. And what they're concerned with is making their clients feel really, really good when they come in for a treatment. And that's the same with things like spas as well. Or maybe it's a DIY store where they're selling tools and raw materials and things like that. And they want to have everything that somebody needs. And they really want to kind of be, somebody's doing a DIY job, they think, I need to go there, okay? Regardless, it's about your local community initially to begin with, and the sort of services that are being offered around you, near you, in your town, in your city, okay? Things that are being offered, but they could be sold better. And, the sad thing is a lot of people are aware of all these marketing techniques because of companies like Google and Facebook advertising, but the only people who are actually getting money from them for marketing are people who are using really evil skills in terms of closing and pitching, and they're not actually delivering a good job. And yet there are loads of people out there who know so much about marketing, but they're not good at closing and pitching, and they never get to deliver their services because of that. You see, unless you can pitch and close, you're never going to get to do that great job for that local business or that local company, and it's going to be hard to grow your offline business. Now, just look at things like Groupon and Google Places. They've done really well, and they're really in the public consciousness, if that's a word. It is, isn't it? You get the idea. They're really sort of in everybody's mind, be they a business owner or a customer, and they've taken off wildly. Now, you might not be aware how things like Groupon work, but essentially it involves people buying coupons. So I just want to give you an example of one of my clients, okay? He's a plumber. He advertises on Groupon, or should I say he did once or twice, because you can't just advertise every day when you choose. They're basically putting out one offer a day in each area. And basically he gets £20, or actually it's like £19.99 for each redeemed coupon. And he has to scan it into an iPhone application that they give him. That's all well and cool, but they're charging something like £50 or £60 for people to buy this, and it's sold like hotcakes, okay? Every time he's done it, it's sold really well. And you might be thinking, well, that's not much money, right? The thing is, though, this guy knows exactly what he's doing, okay? Because just a few lifetime customers from this deal, a few repeat business customers, will generate massive, massive income and more than make the deal worthwhile. Essentially, it's a free introduction service. So how hard do you think it would be to sell this guy more marketing services? Yep, you're completely right, okay? Not hard at all. Now, some of you might be saying, the thing is, Steve, I don't actually know what to sell him. And maybe that's what you've been focusing on as part of your offline business. What new thing can I sell him? What great new strategy or service can you sell to people like Mr. Plumber? What I've discovered is that actually you can sell any sort of service that helps with marketing. There are so many of them out there, okay? And it's all well and good to go after the latest new cool super strategy or shiny toy. But being able to get 10-cent clicks on Facebook isn't going to be enough to get you the sale, sadly. The latest strategy you've got for getting to the top of Google Places, it's not going to get you the deal on its own. Let me break it down for you. Let me just be a little more clear. Basically, most of the people watching this video already have enough marketing and interwebs knowledge to actually help businesses out there. Some of you more than others. Some of you are just learning now. Some of you have been doing it for ages. It's not the knowledge, okay, that's the problem. And almost everybody who's watching this video has enough knowledge to get started, okay, and actually helping out local businesses. You already know enough to make a difference to mom and pop businesses. It doesn't mean you shouldn't learn new strategies and tactics and cool things. Of course you should, okay? Keep growing your repertoire, your bag of tricks, okay? That's really important. But if you don't know how to sell, none of that matters. And selling's all about pitching and closing. And that's why most people aren't succeeding in offline. And sadly, a couple of unethical people in every area seem to do really well because they know how to close. They know how to pitch well. They know how to mind control, which is kind of crazy, really. It's not the best thing in the world. After all, there are so many new cool tactics and techniques coming out all the time that you can sell. It's not surprising that most of us get caught up with this and focus on learning how to do this new cool Twitter integration, or how to create a Facebook fan page, or make a like button pop up this, and then we think, right, now we can go and sell this. But what you're doing is you're falling into the trap that a lot of people who actually also aren't aware of marketing, unlike you, fall into, and that they think the product alone is enough to get a sale. And the vast majority of the time, the product or service alone isn't enough. That's why we learn about marketing. We learn how to get traffic. We learn how to get our pages to the top of Google. We learn how to do conversions, get people to open emails. Yet for some reason, when it comes to offline, people neglect that in their own business. Because if you're trying to sell offline, you've got a business, okay? A lot of people say to me, and have said to Eddie as well when we've done lectures, well, how do I go about starting a business? You actually do it simply by doing it, and it builds up as it goes along, okay? It's not about all of this complex theory. It's about getting started. And just starting off with a few things that you can offer is more than enough. And by all means, learn the new techniques as they come along, because I do, okay? I buy loads of things like WSOs and new reports so that I can constantly keep up with what's going on. And that's a great service for me, okay? That really helps me out. But if I didn't know how to close and pitch, all of that wouldn't be very effective. So kind of what I'm saying is that people have been focusing on the wrong area, and for some weird reason in our market, there's this weird, odd blind spot where people sell marketing services but forget that they've got to be able to market effectively to sell offline, and just having the knowledge isn't enough anymore. So let's put it this way, okay? It's perfectly possible to keep adding cool new services just by buying a few new reports and strategies each month. That's no problem. That's not going to drive business for you though. Okay, that's just going to maybe get you a little repeat business off existing customers, because it's like, oh, Steve, you've got a cool new thing that I quite like. In other words, this isn't really going to sell to new people. In fact, if you're really after getting new people on board, you have to accept this horrid fact. Basically, you don't sell anything until you can persuade someone to listen to your pitch and what your cool new toy or old toy will do, and then they let you close and they say, here's the money. Now, a lot of people avoid it because that sounds really, really horrible. The fact is, when you master that horrible term, pitching, and the even more horrible term, closing, everything else kind of becomes a little bit secondary, okay? Because quite frankly, you can sell services that you can provide yourself. You can sell services that others can provide, okay? In other words, you can even become what's called an offline broker, whereby you find the coolest offline companies in your area, or people that you've met on places like the Warrior Forum or other forums, Odesk, Fiverr, and you become a broker for their services. You help them sell in particular areas, and you don't actually have to do the work. Now, I'm not saying that this is what this video is about, okay? It's just something that you can do once you become good at pitching and closing, which is the key to marketing your offline services. And at the end of this video, I'll be showing you some cool strategies that you can implement today. Now, here's how that we know all of this is true. And this is just going to make yeah, I understand now. There are tons of unethical companies out there, okay? Offline SEO, coaching companies, and a whole load of other businesses that just survive and thrive on their selling ability. They can't actually deliver. And there are loads of bad SEO companies like this. If you know anything about my history and how I got started, this was really because of a bad SEO company that I got into marketing. I figured I had to understand how to do online marketing myself. Yes, what's really weird is a lot of these people get really rich. And there are a lot of bad offliners out there making an awful lot of money. And it seems kind of unfair and unbalanced, because all the while, good people, talented people like yourself, like people on Main Street, are struggling to build and sustain and grow a business, okay? And it's because so many good people focus on really learning to do the service as well. And they think, well, I don't like this whole pitching and closing thing. I totally understand that, okay? But if you can't pitch and close, you never get a chance to get your foot in the door and deliver that really great level of service, that really cool new trick that you've learned. You don't get to help people out, in other words. So I don't like this whole sort of thing for 3 big reasons, okay? This is why I have a real issue with the unethical people out there, unethical companies, and we've encountered them before. And unethical but good closers, they get rich and successful and they get more clients because of that. So many people get burned and they operate this churn and burn policy. Many of them offer bad or mediocre services at best. So your website never really gets very high on Google. And guess what? Some of the most manipulative and sneaky of these evil marketers actually manage to convince their prospects to stick with them for ages and be happy, even though they're delivering a terrible level of service. So these businesses suffer, and some of them don't even realize that they've been brainwashed. And that affects your local community. It also long-term affects your prospects as the amount of money in your area starts to dwindle and wind down. And that's not good at all. Now, I'm not saying that you can reverse a big trend like that. Big economics, not much you can do about it. But what you can do is you can focus on helping out local businesses and making money. Because make no mistake, these crooked closers that use high-pressure sales are the enemy. And just like a lot of high-pressure sales in industries like, penny share boiler rooms where they call you up and try and sell you shares that are just worthless. Timeshare schemes where you buy a holiday home that's worth only a fraction of what you paid. Get-rich-quick schemes where you have to buy some big marketing course that actually delivers almost nothing. Nobody wants to just, part with these massive amounts of money straight away, do they? And the reason that a lot of these people have to use evil marketing techniques is simply because they don't have a lot to show or a lot of proof. So they have to use very, very hard closing techniques. This results in something which I call extreme buyer's remorse. This is where somebody severely regrets the purchase, either straight afterwards or later when they realize the true value. Now, this is exactly the sort of thing that you want to avoid, and it's exactly the sort of thing that these evil coaches, SEO companies, offline people don't care about, okay? Because basically they know that you're going to get extreme buyer's remorse. So they have all sorts of systems to slow you down, such as bad customer support. That's why I'm passionate about customer support. I always want to help people out, and that's why I actually pay people to man my customer support desk, okay? That's really important. They make it difficult for you to get refunds. They extend out the amount of time it takes you to get a refund. Heck, some of these companies, you just go and read on the internet, okay? They'll sell you like a holiday home, okay? And if you then try and call their customer support line because you've got a way to cancel because you're not happy, like legally within 7 or 14 days or whatever, in the UK this comes under distance selling, you can exit out of that. You can say, no, I'd like my money back. So they make it impossible for you to get through. They invoke clauses that you're not aware of. They make you sign things that you're just not in any fit state to be aware of. And I actually encountered this a while back with a personal development coach who was charging thousands of pounds a month. What they were offering didn't actually seem that amazing to me, but the techniques that this woman used to try and actually get me to sign were shocking. And I found that a lot of these strategies really underpin a lot of get-rich-quick schemes, and they don't have to be like this. You don't have to have this massive pressure to get somebody to buy, and suddenly this, massive amount of customer headache and trauma and upset because you've essentially ripped somebody off. That doesn't have to happen. But how do you compete with people like this? People who are using these tactics? How do we level the playing field? Because, that's really what we need to do. Then we can sell all the cool new strategies that we know are really ace, work well, and can help businesses out there get leverage over multinational chains, foreign companies, evil competitors. How can you help local businesses and make money doing something ethical? Well, simple. What we did is, we did the work for you. We took all these evil and ethical closing methods that we'd encountered of a load of rich, evil men and women, some of them marketers, some of them in all sorts of industries, in fact. I won't bother going through it all. It'd be kind of boring for you. Long and short of it is, we turn them into ethical, powerful sources for good. Still for closing and pitching, but not in a way that builds massive regret and gets people to buy something they don't want. Because the fact is, you know loads about marketing. You've actually got genuine things to sell that are of real value. So what does that mean then? It allows you to help your local community compete against multinationals and chains, like chain restaurants, things like that, chain DIY stores, big corporations that just suck the life out of your community. It helps you make more money yourself, because these companies are going to be happy to pay you when they see what you can deliver. What's stopping that happening right now is that maybe you're not so good at the pitching and closing because you're interested in helping them market. That's what's happened in our industry, okay? People have forgotten that you've got to be able to pitch and market yourself, okay? Just having a sign up saying, here's my service isn't enough. And it's such a weird situation, isn't it? That we're all aware of what these businesses need, but we forget to do it for ourselves. And we forget that our type of marketing, what we need is the ability to pitch and close, which many retail businesses and entertainment businesses and food and catering companies don't need. They need traffic and things like that because their transactions are very quick. Our transactions are much bigger. So we still need to rely on this pitch and closing thing. But we want to do it in an ethical way, and we only want to do what we want to do, okay? So for you, if that means just selling your services as a broker and getting somebody else to do the work, that's cool. Or maybe it means you implementing some really cool strategies that you've come up with. That's all well and good. Now, being able to close, like I say, it's your most valuable skill. That alone can make you a whole lot of money. And I was going to have a screenshot up of a ridiculous amount in my bank account over December, but I kind of decided to leave that out because fundamentally I don't like claims of income and things like that. If that's what it's going to take you to get you to kind of invest in something, I think it's best not to do it, okay? Because basically I'd rather you get something of value from this and focus on that. Now, case in point about closing, okay? I closed a deal back in December with a crazy business whilst in a place called Playa del Carmen. And I was basically in a restaurant. I drank a lot of tequila. It's actually a weird thing. Tequila, lime, and Sol beer. I don't know what it's called. And basically I managed to close a deal with a crazy business that sells a certain type of home improvement thing to rich people. I would never have thought of this type of business. But I made an effective pitch and I built rapport. I didn't have testimonials with me or anything like that. And I managed to get the deal. So I don't really care if you prefer to use seminars, meetings and bars, as I did, impromptu things, email or telephone, be that cold calling or getting return calls, to get meetings and closing. However you do it, doesn't matter. I'm going to be showing you all of those things. And obviously that's a little too much to talk about now. But I still want to be delivering value and everything and helping people out. And I'll be showing you practical step-by-step methods, scripts, and what I call snippet scripts, which is where you basically get a question and an answer. So somebody asks you an awkward question such as, how long have you been doing this? And I give you an answer which I'll pretty much shut them up and let you move on with your pitch. And you'll also be getting processes as well to close in all of these situations. I'll be showing you practical web tools and sneaky services that can really help you just close deals like that. So I think, a lot of that is very cool, but here's the basic secret, okay? I'm going to basically reveal exactly what it is at the basis of offline mind control. To close effectively, you really need to be able to lead and pace the conversations your prospect is going to ask. Now, I'm not going to be covering things like NLP or any weird psychological theory. You don't need that, okay? I've just got practical tips and strategies that have been used again and again and work well. So, unlike evil marketers, we use their tactics, which I think is kind of cool in some sort of karma way, to lead to what I call a natural or automatic close. You see, most people think that there's some sort of big secret about closing and that it's kind of, how can I put this? That when you get to sort of the closing part, there's some sort of secret technique that you use there that actually gets you the cash. When really, everything in your pitch should lead up to the close being so easy that it's not that hard, horrible thing that we all avoid and don't want to say. So it makes it really easy to just say, hey, I'd like you to buy this. I'd like you to sign up. And you do it in a friendly, open, honest and direct way. Saying basically, I'd like you to buy this. I think it could work for you. Why don't you give it a go? And if you're offering, sort of a money-back guarantee like I do, then there's very little reason not to sign up. Now, with my offline mind control system, It becomes easy to deal with selling by allowing you to control the three aspects of closing, okay? And this is what I've identified in all of the systems that evil marketers use, and some ethical marketers who are very good at closing as well. There's no psychological theory, okay, because it has to be things that you can implement and you can remember under pressure, okay? There's no BS, okay, so there's no pointless steps to try and pad things out. So if you're going to think, oh, it seems a little bit lacking here or something, just follow the steps, just try it. It's about intensely practical strategies. Now, what are these 3 steps, okay? Well, basically, it's about generating rapport, identifying needs, and building value. And along with that, I'm showing you how to deal with common objections that we've found occur time and time again. But also what happens in the PDF manual, I'm explaining to you why these occur, because often it's not about the issue the person's talking about. It's a mistake you made earlier. So what do? You rewind in the process, you re-go through the loop until you get it right. It's as simple as that, basically. Now, what that means is you don't get stuck with the basic questions that we've learned to overcome the hard way. In other words, we've done the work for you. We've taken the punches and the bruises. So, for instance, I don't know, this seems kind of expensive, or do you have an office, or does anybody work for you, or has this ever not worked? No worries with questions like that. Really easy to answer and move on with. Heck, even that old chestnut, which I guarantee you've never heard any other offline marketer who's selling an info product talk about, okay? Anybody who's pitching, they always avoid this, okay? Now, I've changed the name of one of the companies here, okay, not to make it obvious. I'm sure you can figure it out. Okay, I'm signed up with Pastel Pages at the moment for 12 months. I'm locked into a contract. I'd love to go with you, but I'm sorry that I can't, okay? That kills so many offline marketers. It just kills their pitch. I'll show you how to deal with that. But as you can guess through, it basically breaks down into 2 groups. One, they're just using it as an excuse because they're not interested. And I'll show you why that's actually not as true as you often think it is. Basically, it's like when you're a kid and you want to, ask somebody out on a date or something, and you come up with all these reasons why they'll say no. And a lot of people take this as a thing of saying, no, they're not interested at all. I'll be showing you why the vast majority actually are interested and why this occurred. And I'll show you ways to stop this question ever occurring. And sometimes, guess what? It's going to come up because it's genuine. Somebody actually isn't signed into a contract and they're not sure they can spare the budget. That actually is a very interesting situation. I'll show you a practical way to deal with that, okay? And basically answer it and still get some sort of deal that long-term can grow to something even more. So you're getting access to over 3 hours of video tutorials, scripts, and these snippet scripts as I call them, PDF manuals and process maps. So there's quite a lot there. I've tried to basically include all of the common scenarios that we've encountered and how you respond and how to deal with it. So you just learn the steps and they're really easy to understand. So no matter how you feel, it's fine. It takes all that horrible pressure from selling, be it on the phone, be it by email or face-to-face. And you get to learn cool stuff as well, okay, like how to use web tools to really build value and create rapport, and some stuff you'll never have heard of before. I'll also show you how to use Facebook to brainwash people, and that's remarkably effective. And I'll also show you how to max out a load of ethical bribe strategies as they're known. I found loads of ways to really extend the power of those, because frankly a lot of people are aware of ethical bribes now and they're using them. So as you can imagine, there's way too much content for me to list here. I'm sure you get the idea. But regardless of the pitching of this offline mind control thing and everything, let's get down to something that's going to deliver you some value and help you out. Because before I go, I'd love to leave you with a powerful strategy that can help any offline marketer with a website or advert. And basically, the idea is on your advert or on your website, you add a little box or circle that has a phone number and it says, call our automated marketing strategy line on blah, 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 whatever the number is for more information. Now, if you've not got a number, you can sign up with something like Vonage. There are also answering services out there. You can get a Skype line in, okay? It's not going to cost you much money. And on the answering machine message, you record some information that describes what you do, and if you can describe in a slightly conversational fashion a case study of a local business, that works really well. But there's an even better method, okay, and where you can serialize it. And this takes a little bit more work. Essentially, it means having a few different lines, and you have one for each type of business. So you can have one for restaurants, one for retail, and one for, I don't know, bouncy castles or something. And by doing that, you basically can record very similar conversations. You can just change like one or two little pieces of audio in it, but you have something more specific. At the end, you have a call to action. So for restaurants, to see how to improve the number of covers you get every evening, as I mentioned before, covers is kind of an industry term. You then have a phone number or an email address, and you say something like, ask to speak to Mark, use the person's name. Now, this is a much more powerful strategy than you might realize. I mean, you might think, well, why not just have Mark's number on the website anyway? Well, you can do that. But a lot of people don't have a lot of confidence when they're calling up. And they don't want the awkwardness of having to talk to somebody, maybe getting bamboozled and forced into buying something. People don't want to be pressure closed. And this builds confidence. So this automated line that you've got, okay, is all because business people spend half their lives avoiding the hard sell via cold calling. And when it is cold calling, it's really horrible. They don't know anything about your business. They don't know who you are. It's really anonymous. I mean, top tip there, stop doing that. It doesn't work, particularly those spam emails. I hate them, okay? Now, the thing is with this automated line, you're making it clear that you aren't going to do that. You're not going to be pressure selling them. They're not going to have to speak to anybody. They get some more information and they can move on. Now, you might say, Steve, why don't you have it just on your website? Why do you need that information there? Well, because we want to see the people who are actually interested in taking things forward, and we're asking them to take a small step. Because once somebody starts actually taking small sort of steps towards something and taking action, they're committing themselves. Just reading something on a web page, they're not committing in any way. We're trying to move them along in a process because that makes them more likely to complete the process. So it's a really good way to build confidence. And, then you can use offline mind control methods to identify the needs and type of your prospect, create rapid rapport, and build value. Do you remember those three core things that are at the basis of this system and of all closing, effective closing and pitching? Okay, and basically then, that lets you move on to a very natural and automatic close. You basically ask for the seller and say, hey, do you know what? I hope that this has explained to you some of the value that we can provide and why I think we can really work well together. What I'd like you to do now is just sign up below, and we can start getting results for you. So that is offline mind control. So there you have it, an overview of offline mind control. Simply sign up below and you're going to get instant access to all of the videos, content, scripts, everything like that. And it would be great if you could leave some feedback.